You're watching Story Scroll. Real stories, raw emotions, and endings you'll never forget. Let's scroll into today's tale.
My slutty cousin has slept with every date I've brought on holiday. Am I crazy for thinking it's on purpose? Throwaway because some of my family uses Reddit, and I honestly don't know if I'm overreacting or finally seeing something I should have noticed years ago. I'm in my late 20s, female, and every year since we were kids, my extended family has done this big holiday trip together. Same setup every time. One shared place, sometimes a beach house, sometimes a mountain cabin, once even a rented villa overseas. Too many people under one roof, and lots of forced bonding. Growing up, I used to love it. As adults, it's complicated. My cousin Lena, fake name, is the same age as me. We grew up almost like sisters. She's always been the one. Louder, prettier, more confident, effortlessly charming. The type who walks into a room and somehow everyone's attention tilts toward her without her even trying. The family adores her. Whenever she's blunt, she's honest. Whenever she flirts, she's just friendly. Whenever she crosses boundaries, it's just her personality. I, on the other hand, am quieter. I'm not antisocial, but I'm reserved. I overthink. I've had a few bad relationships in my early 20s that really messed with my confidence, and for a long time I was that cousin, the single one everyone tiptoed around or tried to set up with coworker sons. A few years ago, I decided I was done feeling like the odd one out. I was dating again, slowly, carefully, and when the next big family holiday came up, I thought, why not bring someone with me? Other cousins brought partners. Why shouldn't I? That decision is where everything started to feel wrong. The first guy I brought, I'll call him Mark. We'd been seeing each other for about 2 months. He was kind, normal, no red flags. Not some whirlwind romance, but promising. He was excited to come, nervous in a cute way about meeting my family. From the moment we arrived, Lena locked onto him like a heat-seeking missile. At first, I told myself I was imagining it. She greeted him with a hug that lasted a second too long. Sat next to him at dinner, even though there were plenty of seats. Laughed a little too hard at his jokes. Touched his arm constantly when she talked. Everyone else saw it as Lena, making him feel welcome. I tried to laugh it off. I even joked, "Careful, you'll steal him," and she laughed and said, "Relax, he's all yours." But then the inside jokes started. They'd reference conversations I wasn't part of. Little looks, shared laughs. At one point, I went looking for Mark and found them alone on the deck, talking quietly. When I walked out, the conversation stopped abruptly. Mark started acting different after that. Less affectionate. Distracted. On the drive home, he was distant. 2 days later, he texted me saying he didn't feel the spark anymore and that he had a lot to think about. I was hurt, but I told myself it was just bad timing. Not every relationship works out. The second time, I brought someone else the following year. Different trip, different place, different guy. Same result. Lena immediately gravitated toward him. Late-night conversations. Sitting way too close. I found out later they'd gone for a walk on the beach at midnight. Alone. That relationship ended the same way. Sudden. Vague. No real explanation. By the third time, I started to feel sick before the trip even started. I debated not bringing anyone, but I was tired of being scared of my own family. So I brought a guy I'd been seeing casually but exclusively. I was upfront with him before the trip. I told him my cousin could be a bit much. He laughed and said he could handle it. He couldn't. This time the truth came out by accident. One night, he drank too much. We were sitting on the porch, and out of nowhere he said, "I don't think you're ready for a relationship." I asked him what he meant. He hesitated, then admitted Lena had told him things about me. That I was emotionally unstable. That I got obsessive in relationships. That I was still messed up from my exes and not in a good place. I was stunned. These were things I'd confided privately to Lena years ago, during a rough breakup. He ended things the next morning. That was the first time I wondered if this wasn't coincidence. I finally tried to talk about it. Not dramatically. Not accusing anyone of anything. I just said it hurt me, that every time I brought someone around, Lena seemed to get too involved. The response was immediate and unanimous. You're being insecure. She's just friendly. Why would she do that to you? You should be grateful she helps weed out bad men. Lena cried, full tears. Said she'd never do something like that. Said she felt attacked. Said she was just being herself and couldn't help it if men liked her. I ended up apologizing to her. After that, I stopped dating for a while. Not because I didn't want a relationship, but because I didn't trust my own judgment anymore. I kept wondering if there was something fundamentally wrong with me that everyone else could see, but I couldn't. I developed trust issues. I pulled back emotionally. Eventually, I started therapy. Therapy helped. A lot. My therapist encouraged me to journal, and that's when I noticed how identical these situations were. Same setting. Same cousin. Same outcome. She helped me practice setting boundaries and recognizing when my feelings were being dismissed. Which brings me to the most recent holiday. Against my better judgment, I brought one last date. I told myself this was the test. Before the trip, I pulled Lena aside and very calmly told her that I needed her to respect my relationship and not flirt with my date. She smiled, hugged me, and said, "Of course. I didn't even realize you felt that way." For about 12 hours, things were fine. Then it started again. The touching. The jokes. The private conversations. My date left early the next morning, claiming a work emergency. That night, I overheard Lena talking to another cousin. She was laughing and said, "I don't know why she keeps bringing guys around. They always realize eventually." She said it like she'd won something. I locked myself in the bathroom and cried. Something finally clicked. This wasn't about attraction. It wasn't about her can't help it personality. She didn't want me happy. She wanted to be chosen. Every time. I packed my bags and left the trip early without telling anyone why. Now I'm sitting here wondering if I'm losing my mind or if my cousin has been deliberately sabotaging my relationships for years. So, Reddit, am I crazy for thinking this is on purpose? Update. First, thank you. I honestly did not expect my last post to get the reaction it did. I posted it half expecting to be told I was projecting or overthinking things, because that's what I've been told for years. Instead, I woke up to hundreds of comments and messages telling me I wasn't crazy, that this was textbook emotional sabotage, and that jealousy doesn't always look like insults. Sometimes it looks like help. Reading that was overwhelming. In a good way. For the first time, I felt validated instead of dramatic. A lot of you told me to do one of two things: confront my cousin directly or distance myself completely. I decided to try one calm, adult confrontation, not to change her, but to get clarity for myself. I got more clarity than I bargained for. I asked Lena to meet me for coffee. Neutral space. No family around. I went in with notes because I didn't trust myself not to freeze. I didn't accuse. I didn't raise my voice. I just laid out the pattern. I told her that every time I brought someone around, they pulled away afterward. That I'd overheard things. That I felt hurt and undermined. At first, she did the familiar routine. Wide eyes, sighs, "I never meant to hurt you." Then she said something that made my stomach drop. She shrugged and said, "I can't help it. I'm just honest with people." I asked her what she meant by honest. She laughed and said, "If they run, they were weak anyway. You should thank me for saving you time." That's when she flipped. Suddenly, I was jealous, insecure, obsessed with competing. She told me I needed therapy, that I'd always had issues with attachment, that I was reading too much into things because I hate that men are drawn to her. And there it was, not denial, not confusion, just justification. I ended the conversation and left. Here's where things get weird. A few days later, I was venting to a friend about the confrontation and casually mentioned that Lena had once told me her therapist said I was emotionally volatile in relationships. As soon as I said the therapist's first name out loud, my brain froze. Same first name, same specialty, same city. I pulled out my own therapy notes when I got home. Same clinic, same therapist. I felt physically sick. I started spiraling, wondering if my private struggles had been shared, if my cousin knew things she shouldn't, if I'd unknowingly been sitting across from someone who already knew me through Lena's lens. I scheduled an emergency session. Before I could even bring it up, my therapist did. She immediately acknowledged the conflict of interest. She apologized. She explained that Lena had been her client long before me and that when I signed on, she hadn't connected the dots because we have different last names and I never mentioned my cousin's name. She was calm, professional, clear. She told me she had never shared Lena's information with me and had never shared mine with Lena. She offered to refer me to another therapist immediately and said she'd fully understand if I didn't want to continue. And here's the thing, I believed her. Because everything Lena had ever told people about me came from me years ago. From family conversations. From moments when I was vulnerable and trusted her. Not from therapy. That realization was oddly grounding. I transferred therapists that week. I went low contact with Lena.
No dramática non cement.
I just stopped engaging. She noticed immediately. She called me furious. Accused me of cutting her off to punish her. Then she found out I had switched therapists. She completely lost it. She accused me of invading her safe space. Of stealing her therapist. Of doing this on purpose. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I just told her I needed distance and hung up. That was the first boundary I've ever set with her that I didn't walk back. A lot of you warned me about this next part, so I want to be very clear and careful. Months passed. I finished therapy with my new therapist. Life settled. The family drama cooled into an icy silence. Much later, well after the professional relationship had fully ended, I ran into my former therapist by chance at a community event. We talked briefly, normally, about nothing deep. Over time, we ran into each other again. Coffee turned into conversation. Conversation turned into something mutual. I hesitated a lot. For obvious reasons. We talked it through openly. We respected boundaries. We waited. We did this by the book. And for the first time in a long time, I feel safe. Not swept up. Not doubting myself. Just calm. I'm not posting this as a victory lap. I'm posting because I finally understand that what hurt the most wasn't the men who left. It was being told for years that my instincts were wrong. They weren't. My cousin didn't ruin my relationships because she wanted the men. She ruined them because she couldn't stand me being chosen. And once I stopped playing the role she needed me to play, everything changed. Thank you to everyone who helped me see that. I'll update again if anything else happens. But for now, I'm okay. Final update. I wasn't sure if I'd ever post again, but enough has happened that it feels right to close this out. Not because I won, but because I finally stopped losing myself. Things stayed quiet for a while after my last update. I stayed low contact with my cousin, focused on work, therapy, and my own life. For once, I wasn't waiting for the next family explosion. Then someone recognized me in a photo. I hadn't announced anything. I hadn't posted a relationship update. I hadn't tagged anyone. But a distant family friend posted a group picture from a small community event, and I happened to be in the background, standing next to my partner. Too close to be ambiguous. Close enough for anyone who knew the context to put it together. Within hours, my phone started blowing up. First, the family group chat. My cousin sent a long message accusing me of being calculated, cruel, and deeply disturbed. She said I'd crossed an unforgivable line, that I had humiliated her, that I was intentionally trying to destroy her mental health. Then came the subtweets. Vague posts about betrayal, about people who steal what's sacred, about trust being broken in ways that can't be undone. She told anyone who would listen that I was ruining her life. I didn't respond. What I didn't expect was what happened next. My aunt and uncle reached out, not to scold me, but to ask questions. Real ones. Calm ones. Questions no one had ever asked before. Apparently, when my cousin went to them in tears, she didn't stick to the script. She spiraled. Contradicted herself. Let things slip. Around the same time, my partner, being careful, professional, and ethical, set boundaries of his own. Without sharing confidential details, he made it clear that he had never encouraged my cousin's behavior. He had repeatedly redirected conversations when she focused on me, and that he had, more than once, challenged her fixation on being chosen. That was all it took, because suddenly, years of small moments clicked into place for my family. They remembered past holidays, past arguments, past misunderstandings. Other cousins quietly admitted they'd noticed things too, how my cousin seemed threatened when attention shifted away from her, how she framed everything as concern while sowing doubt, how often I ended up apologizing after being hurt. For the first time, it wasn't just me saying something felt wrong. It was everyone else finally seeing it. My cousin was confronted by her parents. Not angrily, not dramatically, just directly. She was asked if she'd sabotaged my relationships out of jealousy. She didn't deny it. She justified it. She said she couldn't stand watching me get things I didn't appreciate, that it felt unfair when I was chosen over her, that she'd only ever done what felt natural. That conversation did not go the way she expected. For the first time, the family didn't excuse it. They didn't soften it. They didn't turn it into a joke. They told her she needed help and accountability. She refused both. She accused everyone of turning against her and cut contact with me completely. Blocked me everywhere. Told people I was dead to her. I let her. Here's the part one never thought I'd get to write.
I'm okay.
More than okay, I'm steady. My relationship is quiet in the best way. Respectful. Balanced. There's no competition, no guessing games. No feeling like I'm auditioning for affection. I don't over-explain anymore. I don't apologize for having boundaries. I don't chase validation from people who only feel secure when I feel small. Therapy taught me something important. Being the calm one doesn't mean you deserve chaos.
Thanks for watching Story Scroll. Hit that bell and stay tuned for the next story that will move your heart.